So here's where we are. The ancient mariner's on a ship in the middle of the ocean, and all 200 seamen just dropped dead. I'm going to read the last two verses again. Alone, alone, all alone. Alone on a wide, wide sea. And never a saint took pity on my soul in agony. The many men so beautiful, and they all dead did lie. And 1,000 slimy things lived on. Those are the water snakes. And 1,000 slimy things lived on, and so did I. Now they're in the Sargasso Sea, and there's no tide and no wind, but there's a tiny little current, and so the mats of seaweed have gathered, and the entire ship is surrounded for 1,000 feet in all directions by this rotting seaweed. And the water snakes live in this seaweed, and they eat the little creatures that live in the seaweed. So these extremely poisonous snakes are around the ship in all directions, and that's all the mariner has to look at all day, is literally 1,000,000 poisonous snakes. And the seaweed is rotting, and so he says, I looked upon the rotting sea and turned my eyes away. I looked upon the rotting deck, and there the dead men lay. I looked to heaven and tried to pray, but before a prayer could gush, a wicked whisper came and made my heart as dry as dust. I closed my eyes and kept them closed, and the eyeballs like pulses beat. For the sky and the sea and the sea and the sky lay like a load on my weary eye, and the dead were at my feet. The cold sweat melted from their limbs. Nor rot, nor reek did they. They're not decaying. You see, the funny thing is, they're all dead, but their eyes are open. And no matter which way he goes, their eyes all follow him around the ship. He has 200 dead men staring directly at him everywhere he goes. The look with which they looked on me had never passed away. An orphan's curse would drag to hell a spirit from on high. But oh, more horrible than that is the curse in a dead man's eye. Because all 200 of these guys are dead because of him and what he did. 7 days, 7 nights I saw that curse, and yet I could not die. The moving moon went up the sky, and nowhere did abide. Softly she was going up, and a star or two beside. Her beams bemocked the sultry main. In other words, they're glittering all over on the seaweed, like April hoarfrost spread. But where the ship's huge shadow lay, the charmed water burnt always, a still and awful red. These are phosphorescent algae that glow. There's not much current, but just enough to disturb the algae and make them glow red. So that there's the seaweed all around the ship, and wherever there's water, it looks like blood. Metaphorically, the blood of 200 men. But where the ship's huge shadow lay, the charmed water burnt always, a still and awful red. Beyond the shadow of the ship, I watched the water snakes. Well, he has nothing else to watch. There's nothing living in this scene but him and 1,000,000 poisonous water snakes. Beyond the shadow of the ship, I watched the water snakes. They moved in tracks of shining white. And when they reared, they can lift their heads half their length up out of the water. And when they reared, the elfish light fell off in hoary flakes. When the snakes move, they disturb the phosphorescent algae, and they radiate many different colors. Within the shadow of the ship, I watched their rich attire, blue, glossy green, and velvet black. They coiled and swam, and every track was a flash of golden fire. O happy living things, no tongue their beauty can declare. A spring of love gushed from my heart, and I blessed them unaware. Sure, my kind saint took pity on me, and I blessed them unaware. The self-same moment I could pray, and from my neck so free, the albatross fell off and sank like lead into the sea. He killed that albatross. Oh, I never explained. He killed the albatross simply because he was bored one day. There was a crossbow laying there, and the albatross, which had become his pet, came up, and for absolutely no reason, in a thoughtless moment, he took the crossbow and he shot the albatross and killed it. In short, he was unable to love. And now, the only reason he's able to begin to love, to feel love for these water snakes, is there's nothing else. He's entirely alone, and there's nothing else left to love. If he's going to relate to anybody with 200 dead men on the deck, he's going to relate to the water snakes. I'll read that last part again. O happy living things, no tongue their beauty can declare. A spring of love gushed from my heart, and I blessed them unaware. Sure, my kind saint took pity on me, and I blessed them unaware. That self-same moment I could pray, and from my neck so free, the albatross fell off and sank like lead into the sea. What just fell off is his deadness and his insensitivity and his uncaring. He not only loves the water snakes now, he can pray, which means he loves the universe. And now, though there's nobody else to love, he can begin to love other human beings.